it's Gary Duffy, and how are you? Look, I'm standing for the council, and I urge anyone who's an independent to stand for the council. I'm 100% independent, not a member of any political party. Now, announced today by the Minister in Big Rigs, Mr. Mark Bailey, MP, Minister for Main Roads and Transport, was that all the projects that are earmarked for 2020. I'm at Mt Crosby here, and as you can see, this is absolutely chock-a-block. Every afternoon it is like this. It is totally ignored by the Labor government in Queensland. Mr. Madden at a meeting last year said this was shovel ready, argued that the federal government hadn't put up any money. When pressured on it, we found out that no one had actually asked the federal government for any funds. So Mr. Madden had misled the entire community of West Ipswich, saying that he had that his government had approached the federal government, but in a letter from the federal government they had never ever applied for funds. So then all of a sudden they applied for the funds, and the federal government said, well, we actually have earmarked funds for you, you just got to come to the party. Then late last year they announced Mr. Madden, Mr. Bailey, looking at a set of plans that didn't exist, announced that they had funding, but then it was revealed that they had no plans, had no design plans, had no business case, had not done any community consulting or anything. And look, this is every afternoon, this is like this. And these poor people here are absolutely frustrated, sitting in traffic jams every afternoon just so that they want to get home. Now, over here at Carolee, there's only two roads into there. There's this road here across the intersection and Mt Crosby Road from Brisbane. So if ever there's an emergency here, the emergency vehicles would have a hard time getting through here, and especially as it's exactly the same coming from Brisbane. So getting emergency assistance here, fire, ambulance or anything, police got to get through here, it'd be an absolute nightmare. Now, in Big Rigs today, and today being the 22nd of January, Minister Bailey put out a list of all the projects that have earmarked for 2020. Mt Crosby is not on the projects in the list. In fact, there's no money at all for anything in Ipswich other than a $44.5 million car park at Springfield train station. So why do they need a car park at Springfield train station? Well, they said because of the illegal parking. So last year the council came out and said, okay, we're giving you 3 warnings and then we're going to fine you all for illegal parking. So went out, issued some fines, I think about $5,000 in fines. This year only 5 people have been fined for illegal parking. So Minister Bailey and the Queensland government are going to spend $44.5 million, good to have some fans, $44.5 million on building a car park because 5 people this year got fined. I don't know where they get their economics advisor from, but to me that's a waste of good money, and especially $44.5 million. When we have this here, and as you can see, all the way back up the hill, and when you come this way, that way there is nearly 1.2 kilometres of traffic jam up on the Warrego Highway. So look, if you want a good council, if you want a good independent council, you need to have good independent representation. And the only way we're going to get that is if we have good independent candidates stand. Now, 11 of the 23 candidates who have announced their standing are ALP card carriers. Now, that's not a coincidence that all these ALP members who've been seen working on Jen Howard's polling stations and been working with Mr. Milton Dick and been working with Shane Unum, all of a sudden their faces are turning up as candidates. There's nothing stopping them from turning up as candidates, but we do not want another ALP council in Ipswich. The last one absolutely ruined Ipswich. There was so much corruption in Ipswich. I think there were 124 public interest disclosure statements by staff in the council. A PID, which is a public interest disclosure statement, is a statement given, and it is protected. The person who is giving that statement is protected from prosecution or civil action or reprisal from the person they complained of. And this was done through a off-site email address, because the council officers would read every email and send those emails to the councillors, so that there was reprisals, sackings and everything else going on in the council for people who mentioned corruption in council. We don't want to go back there. We've just got rid of a corrupt ALP council. We have a member for West Ipswich who has misled the community at a community event saying this here was shovel ready, and we had Minister Bailey and the member for West Ipswich out here only a month or so ago looking at plans for this Mt Crosby fix, only to find out that there were no plans, there had been no consultation or anything. So look, this is spoken and authorised by Gary Duffy, and I urge anyone, if you love your Ipswich community, if you want to be a part of a great council, a good independent council, you need to consider putting your hand up and run as an independent candidate. We don't need people who are card-carrying members of the ALP putting their hand up saying, well, I'm completely independent. I can tell you that they're not. You know, even their corflutes that and their shirts are in the ALP red colours. Everything about them and everything that they do will come from a directive from up top. And I know very much how the ALP works. I was in the ALP for 5 years, so I very much know from the 70s to in the early 80s. A long time ago, and the reasons I got out of there are well publicised. So, look, have a think about it. You can't have 11 members of a political party standing for a council in 4 divisions and then say that they're not a team. They're a team. You know, there's no way they're not a team. And the Electoral Commission of Queensland should have a look at that. You know, if it was 1 or 2, 3 or 4, but to have 11 of 23 people so far, that's not independence. That is running as a group. Especially, there's a photo there of Jen Howard giving a talk, and 3 of these supposed independent members are sitting in the audience around her, watching her give a talk. This is after they nominated. No independence there at all. Thank you.